Ladies and gentlemen, my name is the Pumpkin Queen, and I want to wish all of you an amazing October month. If you like tonight's story, please check out the books The Snow Family, who are also written by the Odd Cat Lady. And without further ado, let's jump into tonight's story. The Worst Haunted House. You know you're in for a treat when you can already see the props peeling off the walls before you even get in. Rick tried to push the foam sword back on the wall, only for it to flop back down the moment he let go. I snickered and elbowed him. "Leave it alone, you only make it worse," I said. "It looks so sad though." Rick nudged it before he huffed and crossed his arms. "This is so stupid." "Oh, shut up, it's either this or we're stuck watching Nightmares Before Christmas on repeat with my little sister," I said. Susan blinked owlishly. "But I like the Nightmares Before Christmas," she said. We all burst out in laughter at that as the line slowly trudged forward. This was the only haunted house within driving distance of our house, and it left a lot to be desired. But ever since we were freshmen, we'd paid a ridiculously high fee of $7 a person to go on through anyway. When the death house is your only option on Halloween, you're taking that option. Better a shitty scare than no scare at all. The five of us walked up to the bored-looking girl in the cheap vampire costume standing at the front. "$5 for the house," I said, pushing forward her tickets. The girl looked up and popped her bubblegum. "Real change. Only 4 at a time," she said. "You got to be kidding me." We all groaned and Rick threw up his arms. "Come on, it's just one more person. We've always gone together," he complained. The girl shrugged. "Not my problem. One of you can go with the next group." God, I hated people who couldn't bend a rule, and I could already hear the muttering of the annoyed people behind us. Fine. Who wants to wait?" I asked. I was already looking at Rick. He was the oldest, older than me, and he couldn't learn a lesson about patience. A soft voice cleared her throat. Rachel smiled and waved her hand. "I'll wait 5 more minutes." "It's okay, I'll just walk extra fast to catch up." I must have looked flabbergasted. "Rachel, you cried last year when the clown jumped at you. What's the sudden change?" I asked. I was already feeling hesitant. Rachel was the youngest of us, and faint-hearted when it came to fear. "I didn't cry," she pouted before sighing. "Really, I'm fine. Go! She shooed us on. I chewed my bottom lip before shrugging. "Alright, hurry up and try to catch up. And remember, the actors are not allowed to touch you. And if they do, feel free to clock them." Rachel laughed, and after our tickets were handed in, the rest of us walked in. I caught a glimpse of Rachel talking to the vampire chick, who seemed to have the reaction anyone has around Rachel. Melt because cute. Even tonight she was dressed as a princess, with a bright pink dress and a crooked rhinestone tiara. The rest of us had gone as horror icons. I was Freddy Krueger, Susan was Carrie, Rick was Jason Voorhees, and Grant was Jeff the Killer. I nearly kicked his ass because he had lied and said he was going as Leatherface, not some shitty creepypasta character. Most of us had ditched our masks and left them in the car. I, for one, wasn't going to wear a sticky rubber nightmare all night. Rick was the only one who kept his, and it was hanging off his belt at that moment. Not Rachel though. She wanted to be cute, and nothing could talk her out of that. I burst out in laughter as a cannibal leaps out from the cheap fake vines and moss, howling and grasping at our faces. "Hey man, brush your teeth," I said, laughing again when the cannibal flipped me the bird. "You're so rude," Susan tittered. "It's not my fault they all suck. You can literally see the guy's chainsaw poking out from the cage up ahead. It's not exactly a jump scare when you know it's coming." It's not the actor's fault, not really. The death house had been set up poorly year after year, and whoever they dragged into acting had to make do with crap props, cramped spaces, and horrible makeup. I didn't mean I didn't get a good laugh out of scaring them. I dragged my fake claws along the prison wall, snickering quietly as I heard a mad prisoner drop character and yelp. "You sleep tight tonight," I cackled, waving manically at the now flustered actor, who looked like he'd spilled ketchup all over his fake beard and tacky orange jumpsuit. How are these guys still in business? Nightmare Before Christmas is sounding better by the second, Rick said, fake lunging at more of the mad prisoners and watching them flinch. Susan nodded. "And my blood's getting itchy," she complained, scratching her face. "We'll wash it off when we get out." I instinctively looked back, expecting to see a bright pink dress at any moment. Jesus, where the hell's Rachel? She might not go in, Grant said quietly enough that we had to strain our ears to hear him. I should have stayed back with her. She's probably frozen in fear. "She's not a baby anymore," Susan said, nearly tripping over some plastic chains. "She'd be fine. Race you to the Black Lagoon with the zombie hillbillies." She took off running, hoisting her dress up past her knees, avoiding falling on her face. "No fair! You got a head start," Rick whined, nearly dropping his hockey mask on the ground and scrambled to catch up. I rolled my eyes and looked at Grant. "Should we wait a bit longer and see if Rachel catches up?" I asked. Grant thought for a moment, biting his lip. "Nah, we're not supposed to stop anyway. Rachel's probably buddied with the group behind us. The ones that look like famous dead people or zombies." "Yeah, was one of them an undead David Bowie? Because not fucking cool." We took off after Rick and Susan, laughing at the terrible light effects and poor setup. One of the actors saw Susan and Rick bolting towards him, and he ended up running away at the sight of Carrie and Jason coming at him at full speed. The ends didn't come fast enough, but a smile was on my face the whole time. Sure, it was a shitty haunted house, but it was our haunted house, you know? I swore as I tripped over a mannequin, meant to look like a corpse, nearly landed on my face. "Jesus Christ! Wait up, Rick!" I said as I scrambled back on my feet. A hand wrapped around my ankle, and I nearly pissed myself. I slowly turned my head around. The corpse grinned manically back. "We're all dead. We didn't make it out," he cackled. I screamed and nearly kicked a guy in the face, getting on my feet. "No fair! You're not supposed to touch the people going through the house," I complained. "You also kicked me in the ribs, dude. That was fair." The guy flopped back down and resumes being dead. I limped back the rest of the hallway, not even reaching when another actor wearing a tattered yellow and red cape waved at me. "Happy Halloween! Would you like a treat?" he said. "Fucking pass," I grumbled as I pushed open the exit and walked out to meet my friends. "Thanks for leaving me behind. I nearly got eaten by a zombie." Grant snickered. "The guy on the floor? Oh man, he really got me. I nearly lost my shit," he said. Susan shivered as she giggled. I am so cold. Let's get back to the fairground so we can chill by the bonfire and have some hot cider, she said. I held up my hand. Wait, what about Rachel? Did she leave yet? All of us looked around. Grant standing on his tippy toes to catch a glimpse of the princess dress. Nothing, he said, lowering back down. She's probably still inside. Or she never went in at all. Rick sighed. Wait here, I'll check by the entrance. Here, have my jacket. Rick pulled off his coat and draped it over Susan's shoulders. I'll be back in a sec. He took off running. I plopped down on the ground and caught my breath. Jesus Christ. For once I actually got in a death house. I mumbled. He got me and Rick too. I think Rick nearly cried, Susan said, setting a hand on my shoulder. Grant nodded. For once, we get a good actor, and he's at the very end. He should go pro. I saw Rick jogging back. Hey Rick, did Rachel head back for Coca? I asked, getting back on my feet. Rick came to a stop, and I saw how unsettled he was. Rachel actually went by herself, 3 minutes after us. Vampire Chick said she seems pretty confident. You don't think she fainted, did you? He asked. I looked back at the door, my stomach twisting. I'm going back in, I said, walking up to the door. You know, if you're caught going back this way, you'll get us all tossed out of the carnival, Susan said, trying to grab my arm. I shook her off. And if Rachel fainted, she might have hit her head. Or she's having a panic attack and can't move because some stupid actor actually grabbed her. I said. I reached for the doorknob. The door slammed open and nearly hit me across the face. There stood Rachel, a little paler, and her eyes were a little red with tears. But she was there. Then she grinned and held up a round, bright, red lollipop. Trick or treat? Did you guys get a candy from the guy in the cape? She asked. No, I told him to fuck off. Wait, he was seriously giving out candy? Oh man, did I miss that? I groaned and my shoulders sagged. How much candy did you get? Rachel unwrapped a treat and popped it in her mouth. Just this, but he had a whole bag full. All homemade and huge variety. Chocolates, suckers, jawbreakers. You seriously didn't get any? Susan looked sheepish. I thought he was joking. Oh man, that looks yum. Rachel pulled the lolly free from her lips. It is. Oh man, this is way better than the dum-dums you get at the bank. She put it back in her mouth. Come on, I want to drink and sit by the fire. She ran on ahead, grinning from ear to ear. My heart finally slowed down and I shook my head. I can never read that girl, I said. Grant shrugged. I guess she really did grow up last year. Come on, last one there by Coca. He took off after Rachel. I shook my head but gave chase. My paycheck was still a few days out and I was borderline broke already. Susan was the last one to the fire pit and was now carrying her heels. My feet hurt, she whined. Rachel giggled hysterically. The candy had now smeared her lips scarlet. Maybe next year, don't wear a costume with heels? She hiked up her skirt and showed off her dirty tennis shoes. I'm comfy and I still look like a princess. Mostly, I said, reaching up and readjusting a crown. But that's gonna fall off if you're not careful. And you're absolutely going to choke if you run around with a sucker in your mouth. Rachel shook her head. Nah, it's already mostly gone, see? She pulled it out of her mouth, a trail of crimson saliva, connecting her lips to the stick for a second before the split strands popped back down on the chin. Sure enough, the candy had already mostly dissolved, leaving only a small, misshapen orb left. Huh, I took the stick for a better look. I thought they're supposed to last longer than this. Like he said, they were homemade. Maybe they taste better, but don't last as long. And give me that back. Rachel snatched it back and licked it a few times. So tasty. She whined before she wiped off her mouth. I want another, but I don't have the money to go through the death house again. Neither do I. I just have enough money for maybe 2 cups of coca, I said. Rachel stood on her tippy toe and kissed me on the cheek. Then buy me a cup, pretty please, she said, her eyes wide, bleeding. I sputtered for a few brief moments. Grant's jaw dropped and I heard Susan quietly squealing behind me. Sure. Susan? You lost the race. Come with me for a second. My voice sounded more like a 12-year-old going through a puberty at the moment. But I didn't care. I speed-walked away from my friends as casually as I could. Did that just happen? I asked, trying to keep my voice quiet. Susan grinned. I totally did. Oh my gosh, finally! I have been waiting you two to get together forever, she said, practically dancing with every step she took. Oh my god, Susan. I groaned and dragged my hands down my face. I don't even know if I like her like that. She's still in high school. We graduated last year. She's graduating this year, you weirdo. Susan smacked my back as she skipped up the booth. Okay, 2 ciders, 1 coca. And this guy has to get a coca for himself and his girlfriend. I groaned. Please do not call Rachel my... A loud scream cut me off. Not one from the death house either. Although you never heard screams there in the first place. This one came from the fire pit behind us. I spun around and saw Rick lying on the ground. For a second, I thought that Rachel was shaking him, trying to get him to wake up, while Grant was trying to get closer. Then I realized that Grant was trying to pull Rachel off him as she gnawed Rick's throat. Get off him, Rachel! Help! Someone help! Grant managed to lift Rachel off him. The girl hissed and spitting like a wild animal. She threw her weight backwards, Grant falling back into the open flames. He hauled. He rolled away, his white hoodie catching like a match. For a second, Rachel looked back up at me, blood dripping down her mouth and her chest. She cocked her head to the side before she sped off, running for the nearby woods. Susan screamed. She ran to Rick's side and ripped off the jacket he'd given her to wear, pressing it against his neck. Grant was putting himself out. I could hear him moaning in pain. I ran after Rachel and into the woods. I ripped over brambles and ripped open my jeans and thorns, nearly falling on my face as I looked for glimpses of my friend. I caught sight of that bright pink dress on occasion, but I'd blink out for existence on the moment I saw it. I came to stop, my lungs burning as I attempted to take breath. I wheezed before I looked up. Where's Rachel? Where the fuck is... I was now eye to eye with the actor wearing the yellow and red cape. I couldn't even scream. He bent down to look me in the face. Was he this tall when I saw him in the death house? His skin wasn't pale from makeup, although I thought that was the only way you could look that white without being dead. He grinned nearly ear to ear, revealing a mouth full of yellowed, broken fangs. He slowly reached into his cape and pulled out a snack, opening it up for me to look inside. Candy. So much candy. All in homemade packaging, tied with ribbons, and each piece looking far more delectable than anything else you'd get on Halloween night. Do you want a treat, David? I reached into the bag and plucked out another lollipop. This one was a dark green with a solid core that may have been chocolate or some sort of gummy. I swallowed before I put it back. No, I don't want your fucking treat. Where's Rachel? I backed away, unable to look at this freak's face any longer. Here. I looked behind me to see Rachel. She shred her pink dress and was only in a white slip now, but she still had a custom crown on her head. She smiled, a handful of teeth falling from her mouth. You wouldn't see a space among all the new sharp ones protruding from her gums. Go home, David. Please, she said. I shook my head. No, I couldn't leave Rachel. Not now, not with this thing. She took my hand and gently squeezed it. Fingernails had been exchanged with claws. They sliced through my meat of the palm like butter. Please, David, go home, she said, an odd sadness in her eyes that didn't match her macabre grin. And crying like a baby, I did. I ran all the way home. I didn't even go back to the festival, even though I could hear screams behind me. The festival going to hell. But I didn't care. I went home. The neighborhood was quiet, but I can see the police cars slowly patrolling the streets. There will be no trick-or-treaters this year. Someone already came by the house and told my family not to take candy from anyone we didn't know, especially if this candy was homemade or in thorn wrappers. How many people took candy from the man in the yellow and red cape tonight?